Hey Eurovision fans, the allocation draw for the semi-finals of Eurovision 2024 has happened. 31 countries have been split into two semi-finals. We're going to use the information we have from the songs already released, the national finals, and we're going to look at historical qualification streaks and momentum over the past 10 years to see who's had a little bit of luck and who is in a little bit of trouble. So let's keep moving. If you're new here, my name is Tom. I'm an Irish Eurovision analyst and you can find all of this stuff on my Eurovision channel. So we are going to get to my whiteboard later. Just for the start of the video, it's a little bit more comfortable if I turn the camera so I'm not squashed up against this box. So this allocation draw happened last night. In case you're not familiar, all of the countries who are in the semi-finals are put into pots based on their historical voting patterns, and then they're spread out amongst the two semi-finals. They're also allocated into the first half or the second half of each semi-final. So there's 4 possible places that you could have been put. So that gives the producers of the show a blueprint that they need to work from. So they'll look at the countries drawn in the first half of the first semi-final, and then they organize them into what they think will make up the best show. That official running order is done later in the year. Last year it happened on March 22nd. So we don't know the official running order yet. Obviously we need all the songs to be released so the producers know, okay, what are the fun songs, what are the more serious songs, what's up tempo, what's a little bit weird, and then they'll put them in an order that lets each song shine. But we still have some information. We've got each country's qualification streak, their qualification pattern over the last 15 years since the two semi-finals began in 2008. We also have some countries who are on a really good momentum right now and countries who are not on such good momentum. So when we factor all that stuff in, we can start to get a picture of who is in a good position, who has a couple of mates in their semi-final, who might be starting to worry a little bit because they haven't got the best draw. So I've got my trusty whiteboard with me and I've also got my trusty magnets. I get asked about these every single time I use these magnets. I got these custom made in China, so if you want to get them custom made in China, go for it. Okay, so let's start off with some general info. The first semi-final is going to have 15 countries and the second semi-final is going to have 16. Now you may think that makes semi-final number 1 a little bit easier, but don't forget that last year semi-final number 1 also had 15 countries and was widely considered a semi-final of death. I backed that up in my Eurovision analysis video when I went through the televote and showed that of the 20 countries who qualified for the final, 75% of their televote points came from the first semi-final contestants and 25% of those televote points came from the semi-final 2 contestants. So the semi-final 1 songs had triple the televote points of semi-final 2 last year. So yeah, being in the smaller semi-final doesn't necessarily mean that you have an easier journey to the final. Also, before we start, just to note that these are the semi-finals that I have already done reaction videos and posted on my channel. I don't know all the songs in some countries' national finals yet. I'm getting there. It is a lot of work. I am one person. I will get all national finals covered eventually. Okay, so let's start with semi-final number 1. One thing to note about semi-final number 1 as well is that we have no data on Luxembourg. This is the first time that they are ever competing in a semi-final, so I don't have any statistics or data off them. They are a bit of a wild card. We don't know how they're going to perform, how they're going to be able to elevate, or we're going to have to wait and see. So let's start off with the first half of the first semi-final. And the first country we'll talk about is Ukraine, because as you may know, Ukraine have a 100% qualification record. That is not changing. Ukraine are absolute behemoths in Eurovision. Really good quality songs, incredible staging. I would argue probably some of the best staging in the whole contest. Eurovision is a really important way for them to show off their culture and identity. So I think that they see Eurovision to be more important than ever. Viper has incredible songs. There's absolutely no way in hell that Ukraine are not qualifying this year. So that essentially means that there are now only 9 slots left in semi-final 1. Okay, that's a little bit better. I moved it around because I was really cramping my style. Luxembourg theoretically could join them on 100% if they qualify this year. It might be a little bit unfair though because Ukraine are 13 out of 13 and Luxembourg will be 1 out of 1. But technically they could be even after this year. Okay, a second country in the first half of the first semi-final is Serbia. Serbia have the 3rd hottest qualification streak right now. That's 5 qualifications in a row. Definitely feel that Serbia are super strong. I think they're one of the countries who in the coming years are probably going to win. They've never been outside the top 11 in any semi-final ever. They've only non-qualified 3 times. Twice of those they came 11th. One time they came 10th. That was because of the golden jury rule. Don't ask me what the golden jury rule was. It was a messy thing at the end of the noughties that they got rid of, thank goodness. But yeah, basically they came 10th but didn't qualify anyway. Again, very strong national final this year. My PZE video is coming up really soon. I'm just editing it. I can see Serbia not qualifying. They've got this fantastic streak. Eurovision is very important to them. They were in the first half of the first semi-final also last year. And well, they scraped through. They came 10th, but they still made it through to the final. So you're kind of thinking that that's another place gone. So there's possibly only 8 places left in semi-final number 1 now. Okay, another country who's on a really good trajectory right now is Cyprus. So Cyprus had that 6 qualification streak between 2015 and 2021, and then 22 they didn't qualify with Andromache, but they qualified last year, so they got that streak back. So that's 7 out of 8 qualifications in the last 8 years, which is in the last 8 contests, not years. 2020 cancelled. Boo. But yeah, still really, really strong, even though Cyprus is a pretty small country, same size as Estonia. They have got a really, really strong record. There's a couple of leaks for their song this year. Actually, their song Liar was a song in the Greek selection last year, which came second, technically. There was a big court case about it. But yeah, I presume they're doing a revamp of it and adding in a big dance break. So although they've got that incredible record, I don't know if I'm thinking of Cyprus as definitely taking a spot, but they've got this history of being able to get over the line. So you do have to think that they are definitely in with a shot. I also think this is a contender to open up the show. The opening song tends to be very upbeat, very fun. It tends to be a good song. They don't tend to put something bad on. It tends to be something that can qualify. And I think that with the team working on this, plus she's 16, so it's probably going to be a family friendly show. I hope it is, because she's 16. This would seem like a potential opener. But still, we're adding in, you see 3 out of 3 countries now with really, really good records in recent Eurovision. I hope my board is big enough for all these mother-loving magnets. Also note that Cyprus do not have Greece this year. Greece are in semi-final 2 again. So good opportunity for Cyprus to prove that they can qualify without them. Actually, pretty much every single time Cyprus has qualified, they haven't needed the points that they've gotten from Greece. They don't actually need Greece to be in their semi-final in any of those 7 qualifications. Okay, next up we have another country with a hot streak, and that is Lithuania. So I'm currently finishing my 5 hottest momentum and 5 worst momentum video, where I look at which of the countries who have improved the most in the last 5 years. And spoiler alert, Lithuania are in 5th place for the improvers. So Lithuania have really, really gotten better in the last 5 years. They've qualified 6 of the last 8 times, and they're on a 3 qualification streak right now. I think that was 4th, 7th, and 4th. So in the top 7 all 3 times. So yeah, Lithuania again. These are just all countries who are on really, really hot streaks right now. That doesn't guarantee that they're going to continue it on, but Lithuania, I've already done some of my Lithuania semi-final reviews, and I think they've already got one strong option in Sylvester Belt, and we have a couple more to come up as well. So another strong country in the first half. Little bit of a wild country now for our 5th one, and that is Poland. So Poland tend to be quite streaky, whether they qualify or not. Big mix-up this year. TVR is having a revamp of sorts in the broadcaster. We are going to have an internal selection. There is a possibility that they will be sending the Witcher song from Justina, which has been quite popular in the community, and it would be a strong entry. So not so sure about Poland. Feels a little bit of a unknown entity. We don't know else who is on the shortlist, but one thing we do know about Poland is they got a lot of money. They got a lot of money and they've got a lot of talent. And then we get to the last 2 countries, and then this is where it gets interesting, because if you look at historical records, these 2 countries are really, really weak. Let's look at the first of those 2 countries, and that is my country, Ireland. If you saw my top 44 video that I did where I looked at the rankings of all the countries of the last 10 years, Ireland were 43rd. We've only qualified 1 time in the last 9 years. That was Ryan O'Shaughnessy in 2018. Otherwise, we sucked. We have sucked, but we don't suck anymore because we're actually sending something really cool, fun, interesting this year. So this is why I think semi-final number 1 is so difficult, because you have all these countries who've got amazing records, and then the countries who usually suck aren't sucking this year. So this is why I think this semi-final could end up being a real semi-final of death. So yeah, Ireland sending Bambi Thug singing Doomsday Blue. And we've got that 4 non-qualification streak. 1 of 3 countries right now who have a non-qualification streak of 4 or more years. The other 2 are in semi-final 2, who I'm going to talk about later. Normally people want Ireland to be in their semi-final because we're so bad, but this year they don't. So this is why this really mixes things up. And then another country that you would normally be happy to have in your semi-final, but not this year, is Croatia. This is the final song in the first half of the first semi-final. Croatia are ranked 36th out of the 44 countries in the last 10 years. They just broke a 4 non-qualification streak. So Croatia really were going through a very tough period for a long time. They broke it last year with Let 3 qualifying. I think they came 8th in their semi and then 13th in the final. And this year, I haven't reviewed Dora yet. I'm going to review Dora, I promise you. It's so effing long. That's why I haven't done it yet, because it takes so long to do. But I've seen a lot of people talking about Baby Lasagna, and then Let 3 are there again. So it looks like Croatia are keeping up this super, super strong momentum. So this is what makes the first half of this first semi-final such an absolute death trap, is we've got super, super strong countries with incredible records. Countries who are a little bit of a wild card, who have a lot of cash, and we have no idea what they're going to do. And then we've got countries who normally suck, who don't suck this year, and are actually, people are talking about them, you know, doing quite something in the final. Sorry, my board just fell down. It got too top heavy and I was poking it too much. So if you aren't aware of the difference between being in the first half and the second half of the semi-final, since the 2 semi-final system began in 2008, we've had 34 semi-finals happen, and only 2 of them have had more countries qualify from the first half of a semi-final compared to the second half of that same semi-final. Pretty much every single year, more countries will qualify from the second half of the semi-final. It's just the fact it's closer to the end. You probably have more people tuning in. Whatever the reasons are, there's probably many reasons. You want to be in the second half. Your chance of qualifying goes up around 10 to 15%, literally just from that being drawn into the right half. So that's really, really relevant. Those 2 times where more countries qualified in the first half were both in 2018. I don't know if it was something to do with Portugal or the fact there was no LED or just a coincidence in the draw, but it's only happened twice, and then the other 32 times they've either had the same amount of qualifiers or more in the second half. It's a regular pattern. I think this could be one of those semi-finals where more countries qualify from the first half. I think Ukraine's almost guaranteed, that's 1, Serbia 2, Cyprus if they bring whatever magic they've been doing over the last 8 years, Lithuania if they continue their hot streak, Ireland really looking for massive redemption, and then one of Croatia and Poland. You probably think Croatia at a minimum. We could get 6 people qualifying from the first half of this semi. Okay, let's go to the second half of the first semi-final, and let's first go to another country who's on a streak. It is Portugal. They have a 3 qualification streak right now, super hot. They had a revamp of their system in 2017, which immediately led to results, and since then they've been really, really strong. 3 qualifications in a row. I've heard that there's some really strong songs and festival that comes out, which I'm really looking forward to reviewing. Again, you've got to think that Portugal are going to be contenders to qualify again. Plus they're in the second half, which is going to help. Who's third in the odds right now? Iceland is third in the odds right now. Iceland's quite a weird country because they had this super hot streak between 2008 and 2013 where they qualified 7 years in a row. And then they went through this real nightmare meltdown period in between 2015 and 2018 where they had 4 non-qualifications in a row, and then Hot 3 came back and just turned things around. So Iceland are quite streaky, definitely not the powerhouses that they were before when they were like absolutely guaranteed qualification, quite similar to Denmark. Denmark used to be the same as well. So I have to admit, Iceland, I don't know, I haven't reviewed the national final yet, so I can't comment on the songs. That's obviously coming up very soon, but they're still third in the odds right now. But you've got to think that they do have the potential to be really strong. Iceland loves the contest so much. They have the highest percentage viewership of any country watching Eurovision. I want them to win in my lifetime. That's literally what I want more than anything in the world. So you've got to think that they are a really strong Eurovision country in general. Last year, I didn't think their national final was very strong, but apparently this year is better. Another country who's on a super hot streak is Finland. I think if you asked a lot of people who is currently one of the hottest countries in Eurovision right now, people would say Finland and UMK. Really, really popular national final. They've totally turned things around by bringing in DJ Orkidea, Tapio Hakkanen, and he's made some massive changes and it's paid off. 3 qualifications in a row for Finland, and they're in the second half. You got to think that they've got a great chance to make it again. I'm going to talk about the 3 automatic qualifiers, but Finland is one of them, and we know that Finland and Sweden are friends. Despite what you might think about what happened last year, they do tend to give each other, it tends to be a little bit one way. Sweden give Finland more points than Finland gives Sweden, but there is a friendship that exists. Another song that has already been released in the semi-final is Raven from Slovenia. Slovenia having a big mix-up in the last 2 years. They've gone for this internal selection. It paid off last year despite a slightly disappointing result. Joker Out had massive support in the community and Slovenia were on the map. People were talking about them, they were excited. I think this is a really lovely entry so far, and it also is a song with a theme of witchery. So we have this very unusual situation where we have potentially 4 witch songs in the first semi-final. So Ireland, as we know, is sending Bambi Thug, who self-identifies as a witch. They refer to themselves as a witch. We also have this potential song from Justyna in Poland, which is called The Witcher. And then we have a song called Veronica from Slovenia, which is about someone who was trialed for witchcraft. And we also have Croatia, who have a song by Let3 called Baba Roga, which also has some witch elements to it. So very unusual situation where I can't think of the last time we had a witch-themed song, and we could end up with 4. So the producers are going to have to consider that. How are they going to space these witch songs apart? And I think maybe the delegations also need to be on the phone to each other saying, hey, what's your color palette going to be? I'm going to do a different one. I think they may need to kind of communicate so they're not overlapping too much. Having said that, Bambi Thug is going more for this black and white color palette, quite gothy. Veronica, I think, is going for more natural, earthy, historical colors. If Witcher goes for Poland, that's going to be more dance orientated. We saw she did a performance on Polish TV, which was really super. I haven't seen it, but I saw a couple of small snippets and it looked like it's a lot of hard hitting choreography. So they've all got different feels. So hopefully they can differentiate each other and this doesn't become all the witches washing each other out. But a very unusual characteristic of the semi. Another big hitter in the semi-final is Moldova, who also have a 3 qualification streak and are kind of known as television superheroes. Really, really strong in the televote. I think their national final has been thought of as quite weak this year. I haven't checked it out yet. I always found that Moldova turn it around. They somehow are able to make it work and put themselves in the mix. So another strong country in the second half. No Romania this year. Unfortunately, Romania withdrew. Having said that, Moldova didn't need Romania any of the other years. So another country with a super strong record is Australia. And they have qualified 6 of the 7 times they've been in the semi-final. And all 6 of those qualifications were in the top 6, including 3 semi-final wins. Also last year, they won the televote. A lot of people saying, are Australia going to get a televote? Yeah, they did. They won the televote in the slightly weaker second semi-final that is relevant. And they were last in the running order. They still won the semi-final. We know that Australia always brings something really put together, really clever package. I think they're very strategic and thoughtful in what they bring. So again, you've got to think that Australia are contenders as well. Still no information about the song. We're waiting for that. Our penultimate country in semi-final number 1 is Azerbaijan, who I feel are a little bit on a downward trajectory right now. They used to be super strong. They used to maintain a 100% qualification record with Ukraine, Romania, and Russia up until the cataclysmic 2018 Eurovision, when Russia and Azerbaijan and Romania, all 3 of them lost their 100% record, leaving Ukraine as the only current country with that record. So Azerbaijan have non-qualified twice now, both of those in the last 5 years. I feel like they've lost their superpower status that they used to have. Last year they came second last, I think. Yeah, last year they came second last in the semi. We have no news about them at all. It feels like a real mystery about what they're doing. I am a little bit worried for them. If you made me guess at this point in time, are they going to qualify with no information? I would say no, because of the strength of the semi-final and the fact that the last entry we saw from them did quite badly. And the last country, poor returning country, Luxembourg, coming back into lovely Eurovision, into this semi-final of absolute and utter death, with no Belgium, no Netherlands, and also the singers has connections with Israel, and they're also not in the semi-final either. So a very welcome return to Luxembourg. At least they got the second half of the semi-final. I have no data on them, obviously, because they've never had to be in a semi-final before. Let's also look at the 3 countries who are voting in the semi-final. We have Germany, so no Austria, no Switzerland. Luxembourg are here, so I wonder, Luxembourgish and German are similar languages, so I wonder could that help Luxembourg a tiny bit. We also have the UK, which is obviously very good news for Ireland. You'd think it would be good news for Australia, but actually if you look back through the voting, UK doesn't really give Australia as many points as you think they would. Despite the fact there's a lot of Australians living in the UK, they don't seem to use their phones very much if you look at historical patterns, but still they do give some points. So that's good news for Australia. And the final automatic qualifier voting in the semi-final is Sweden. So that's good news for Iceland and for Finland, who are both in the second half. Also good news for Ireland, we tend to get a lot of points from Sweden. I think that's pretty good news for Cyprus as well, because Cyprus also tend to sound kind of very pop orientated songs. Yeah, overall, I think this is a semi of death, absolutely. Obviously, we've got more information to come. So it could turn out that some of these big hitting countries actually have a weak year, and then that can change things up. But if you just look at recent streaks of which delegations are performing well, doing good stagings, having success with their ideas and creativity, and got good national finals that are bringing out quality, this semi-final is largely full of them. I think this semi-final could be even worse. For example, if Netherlands and Norway and Switzerland were here, this would be like eye-wateringly disastrous. I think they would have to redo the semi-allocation because it would be so outrageously strong. So it's good that there's some of the other strong countries in the other semi-final. These are countries that you kind of feel are taking a place in recent years. And that means that there's only kind of like 4 or 5 places left up for grabs, because these countries are just getting it. Really good quality, really good staging. They know what they're doing. We have 3 songs released so far. We have Tali from Luxembourg. We have Bambi Thug from Ireland. Veronica from Slovenia. I would still think that Ireland's got a pretty good chance to make it through. Sweden are there, UK, Australia. I think the song is really going to stand out. It's going to be very attention grabbing. I also don't think that Ireland's going to be put at the start because it's such a divisive song. It does rub some people off the wrong way because the imagery is quite strong. So I think it'll probably be 6th or 7th. So it's kind of almost in the second half in how late it's going to be. So I think Ireland are actually in a good position, despite the fact when I first saw this, I was like, we're in the worst quarter yet again. Last year, we were also in the first half of the first semi-final. I have to admit, at this point in time, I would think that Tali is not going to qualify. I just think there's so many big hitters here and a lot more delegations who've got more experience. Obviously, time will tell. Can Luxembourg throw a lot of resources to this and improve? Okay, that's what I thought about semi-final number 1. Going to take a short break and then I'll be back to talk about semi-final number 2. Okay, and we're back for semi-final number 2. I think I'm going to run out of space on my board, but let's just see what happens. Okay, so semi-final number 2 has 16 countries in it. Could potentially be a little bit more difficult because we've got more countries competing. Let's have a look at the first half. As we know, first half a little bit more difficult to qualify from, around a 10 to 15% less chance of making it through to the Eurovision final. So let's first talk about one of the songs that we know for this year, and that is Zemra Nadori from Albania, which we know is currently undergoing a revamp. Albania tend to do revamps once they've picked their song in December. And Albania are actually on a kind of surprisingly good streak right now. They've qualified 4 of the last 5 years. Now, a small caveat to that is that they've been 8th, 9th, and 10th in those 4 qualifications. So kind of just scraping through, but at the end of the day, they are crossing the line. And really, Secret, which didn't qualify in that 5-year period, should have qualified as well, but there were some staging mistakes made. So Albania just doing enough to get themselves into the final and then kind of finish in the 20s most of the time. They've got that partnership with Sacha Jean-Baptiste. Albania loves red and black. Sacha Jean-Baptiste loves red and black. It's a match made in heaven. I presume they're going to keep working together. So yeah, I think Albania are probably in a pretty good position. They're going to be looking at this as a really great opportunity to qualify again. I think it'll probably be in that 8th, 9th, or 10th slot once again, keeping up this nice little streak they've got of scraping in, taking the last available seat. We also know the rest of the world vote last year went heavily in favor of Albania, probably because of Kosovo. I expect that's going to be similar again this year, so that's definitely going to help them. So that is the first country we have in the first half. Another country beginning with A is Armenia. So they also were in the first half of the second semi-final last year. They were in the number 2 running order slot and they managed to make it through. So that was really awesome to see that a country in the death slot managed to make it through to the final. I think Armenia on a cool trajectory right now. They've had 2 qualifications in a row. They had to take a break in 2021 because of the political situation in the country. And I think since they've come back, I've noticed a real change. They've got like a new formula, a new strategy. I think that Armenia are building themselves up now to be a country that will win hopefully pretty soon. I would love to see them get that first ever win. So I don't think they're going to be fazed by being in the first half at all. I'm expecting Armenia to be strong again and get their 3rd qualification in a row. Let's go to a country whose national final I just reviewed, and that is Malta. Again, being drawn in the first half, but this time in semi-final 2. Last year they were in the second running order slot in the semi of death, which was the worst draw that anyone could have possibly had in the whole contest. It could have been a factor in them not qualifying. So they're in the first half again. I think their songs are currently being revamped and music videos are coming out this week, and the final happens on Saturday. Definitely a fantastic opportunity for Malta. If they have been drawn in this first semi-final, I think no chance. They have got to seize this opportunity of being in what I consider the easier semi-final. Even though their first half, they can definitely make it through. Potentially we could be looking at Matte Black with Banana or Urba with Serena. Either way, I think Malta needs to uncharacteristically elevate their staging and secure themselves a spot. This is a great opportunity for them. They have a below average 15-year qualification record of 47%. The average amongst all countries is 57%. So this is a great opportunity for them to push themselves up the qualification rankings. So I'm excited for Malta. I think this is a good draw for them. Okay, let's go to a bit of a big hitter in the first half, and that is Greece. So Greece didn't qualify last year. Everything was a little bit messy. Hopefully they've regrouped and collected themselves. But if you look at their record over the last 15 years, they've qualified 12 times and non-qualified 3 times. So they've got a very, very strong record. No Cyprus in this semi-final this year, but I'm hoping that they've learned from their mistakes of last year. They've got Marina Sati. It looks like they're going to have a really super cool entry. They're probably one of the countries I'm the most confident about in this first half of the second semi-final. So I'm kind of feeling like, I wouldn't say they've definitely taken a place, but on the way towards that. I think they'll want redemption after what was considered a very messy organization last year. Speaking of catastrophes, our next country is Denmark. So Denmark are currently on a 3 non-qualification streak. I think there was a lot of buzz and hype this year that because the contest is being hosted in Malmö, which is a train journey across a bridge to Copenhagen, the capital, that Denmark were going to bring out the big guns, really try hard this year. I've already reviewed the Danish national final. I gotta be honest, I think it's a little bit of a letdown. I think it's actually weaker than last year. So although this is a good opportunity for Denmark, at this point in time, I'm thinking that they're not gonna make it, even though they're in the weaker semi-final. They're in the first half and they've just got this really bad trajectory approach to the contest right now, which I think Denmark needs a giant, really giant, like Netherlands-sized revamp of their system, because it's just so flat right now. Then again, who knows, maybe someone could elevate from the national final. Nothing really massively stood out to me. They've got a great opportunity, but they need to do something uncharacteristically wild, I think, if they want to get through. There's some pretty decent strong countries here who are really looking at this as a fantastic opportunity to improve their records. Okay, another country in the first half is Czechia. Now, Czechia are on a 2 qualification streak. They've qualified 4 of the last 5 years, so that's pretty hot. And in all 4 of those qualifications, they finished top 5 in the semis. So that's kind of the opposite of Albania, who are just scraping through. Czechia are like very solidly qualifying in the top 5 of their semis when they make it through. Some people are a little bit underwhelmed by the song this year, but it's undergoing a revamp. We know that Czechia are really good with their staging. They know how to elevate. They know how to bring something edgy and different. They kind of don't go by the formulaic approach to staging. They think outside the box, and that really makes them stand out. So I'm expecting this to be elevated. The delegation is largely the same as far as I know, so I don't see why Czechia won't be considered as potential qualifiers from this first half. But yeah, I'm expecting the revamp to help with that. Our 7th country is Austria. So Austria broke their 3 non-qualification streak last year, with Tay and Selena coming 2nd in the semi. Brilliant result. They're in the second semi again this year, but they're in the first half. Still a great opportunity. Their song has been chosen. There have been a couple of leaks which I haven't heard. The reaction to it has been kind of relatively good. I think it's quite an upbeat song. Could this potentially open the show? I haven't heard it, but I can't comment, but it's called We Will Rave. So as a title, it sounds like a good song to open. I wonder, would they do that to Austria again after Austria had to open the final last year? Would they subject them to opening up a semi-final the next year? I wonder, is that something the producers think about, or do they just not care? Maybe they're just like, yeah, whatever. Other countries that can open, if Malta chooses Matte Black. I think Bananas maybe a little bit too of a naughty song to open a show with. I think they like to go for something a little bit more family friendly. Last year, Denmark opened the show with Riley, and one of the reasons that the producers said they chose it was because it had a appeal for a younger audience. So Pedestal's not opening. I don't think Zemra Nadori is a good choice. We don't know Armenia's song yet. Marina, I think, is probably going to be a little bit more ethnic, possibly more adult. So at this point in time, it does seem like Austria would make the most sense. if the song is family friendly enough. Obviously if she gets on the stage and she's kind of like bursting out of her dress and humping the floor, maybe not the best song to open with. Maybe it would be good as strategy for her to hump the floor so they don't put her first. Just saying. Our last country in the first half of semi-final number 2 is the country with the best and hottest streak right now, and that is Switzerland. So 4 qualifications in a row. Switzerland are one of the countries who have the best momentum in the last 5 years, totally turning things around with the new system that they developed in 2019. And since then, they've qualified all 4 times with 1 upbeat bop and then 3 sad boy songs. We've been reassured they're not sending a sad boy song this year. It could be a sad girl song. It could be a sad boy bop. Who knows? But it's officially not a sad boy ballad. So interesting to see what they're sending. I've seen a couple of rumors online that their song is actually really, really good. It's a female artist. Apparently it's a very strong song. Taya from Taya and Selena is saying that she might have potentially heard the song and she thought it was amazing. So it looks like Switzerland are going for a 5th qualification in a row. Massive turnaround from them. Really, really amazing. And you've got to think that they're taking one of the spots in the first half. So if we just do a quick overview of the first half, we see that Greece and Switzerland, 2 really, really strong countries. Czechia, they've got that great record of being able to get the job done. Albania get the job done as well, just creeping over the line. And Armenia, really strong right now. So we do have some strong countries here. We also have Malta and Denmark, who just don't have the best record recently. And then Austria, who have been a little bit hit or miss, not qualifying 3 of the last 4 years. Yeah, we have some countries who are kind of a bit more obvious contenders than others. Let's go to the second half of the second semi-final, and these 2 countries sum up the entire vibe of this whole semi-final for me, and that is of redemption. We have 2 countries who have a 6 non-qualification streak in the semi-finals. The first of those is Latvia. Now, you could not ask for a more perfect draw. Again, in my opinion, the weaker semi-final and the second half. Latvia are being served up something on an absolute plate, and they've been unlucky recently because remember, Citizenii was 2nd in the running order in the harder semi-final. Southern Lights were 4th, I think they were 3rd or 4th, but they were near the start in the harder semi again last year. So a lot of bad luck for Latvia recently. They've been sending really great entries. Finally, they've gotten the second half of the weaker semi-final. Perfect opportunity. I haven't reviewed Supernova yet, but I've heard a lot of people talking about 2 of the songs in it, so it sounds like they've got good options. Latvia have to take this freaking opportunity. They've only qualified 3 times in the last 15 years, and 2 of those were because of Aminata Savadoglu. They've got to get their first qualification in 7 years. Desperately rooting for them. Please support Latvia. We've got to get them over the line. 7 non-qualifications in a row is not cute, and it's actually not the worst we've ever seen. Netherlands have the record for that with 8 non-qualifications in a row. Yes, Netherlands used to suck big time. I know it's hard to imagine now because Netherlands are so good, but they used to suck. They turned things around. Hopefully Latvia can do the same. And the other country with a 6 non-qualification streak, make sure I'm putting the flag the right way, is Georgia. Now, Georgia have actually been pretty lucky with their draw. Last year, they were weaker semi, second half. They still managed to mess it up, even though they had the most amazing music video with a really, really cool song. They just threw all the amazing ideas from the music video into the bin and came up with some new, very unimaginative staging, and they didn't qualify, despite at one point being 2nd in the qualification odds to make it out of the semi. Somehow managed to mess it up. I don't know what's going on with this delegation. If you have the inside information, please let me know, because I don't know what's going on with Georgia, but they have been given another lifeline. Really great draw, weaker semi-final, second half for the 2nd year in a row. They cannot mess this up. They're sending Nutsa. She is currently 8th in the odds to win, so I think that might be because of a song leak or the hype around her. Georgia has to convert. Don't F this up, Georgia, in the words of RuPaul. Really, really rooting for Georgia. I hope that they can make it through. So this is the whole theme of this semi-final, is redemption for countries who have been scorned in the recent past. Okay, let's go to a country who definitely has not been scorned recently, and that is the Netherlands, who I spoke about, went through that 8 rough year period. They've qualified 5 of the last 6 years. They didn't qualify last year, but they had a 5 qualification streak before that. Some mistakes were made, they've reflected, they've redone their system, and Joust is going to be representing them this year. He's going to be sending something super fun. Unfortunately, no Germany in this semi-final because Joust has a big following in Germany. I don't think he needs it. It's going through no matter what. And he does have Belgium, which is coming up later. I think he's going to send something really, really fun. Could be a potential closer to the show as well. We do have this possibility that we'll have 3 super fun songs in semi-final 2 if Malta choose Matte Black Banana. And then we have Joust definitely sending something fun. And then if we also have the drug song from 5 Minutes and Pull Up from Estonia, I think the producers will have to separate them. Some people saying 3 fun songs will dilute each other. I think 3 songs over 16 is not too bad, especially if they put Matte Black maybe 5th and then they put Estonia 10th and then they put 15th or 16th. Perfect. That's quite a gap between fun songs. Also, Estonia could be contender to close as well, so maybe they'll be the closing act. But still, I'm very confident about Netherlands. They really want redemption immediately. They don't want it tomorrow. They don't want it a month from now. They want redemption right now. They're coming for this qualification. They've been given a perfect draw. They've got a super quality artist. They're not going to drop the ball. Okay, another country that is definitely doesn't need to worry is Norway. They have a 6 qualification streak that's currently the 2nd best after Ukraine. They didn't qualify in 2016. It was the end of the world. They reflected, they've changed. Super hot streak. There's so many songs in the MGP final that could qualify. I think 6, 7. But yeah, Norway know what they're doing. They know how to work the televote. In my grand final analysis that I did after the final last year, I spoke about how Norway are the naughty fun televotes twin and Sweden are the well-behaved good girl jury twin. So Norway knows how to work a televote, no problem. Their problem was working the juries in the final. They don't need to worry about qualifying. Norway are taking a place. So are Netherlands. There's 8 spots left in the semi-final. Actually, Switzerland are probably taking a spot as well. So there's 7 spots left. Another country who might be surprised is on a hot streak is Belgium. They've qualified 3 years in a row. But like Albania, they're getting in by the skin of their teeth. 8th, 9th, is it? Yeah, 8th, 9th, 9th. So just crossing the line. They've got Musty representing them this year. I believe the song is going to be some dark pop. They've got Netherlands. They don't have Germany. They don't have Luxembourg. No Benelux reuniting. That would have been really fun if Luxembourg were in the semi-final and they were all reunited like a Benelux party. Belgium have this ability to get the job done, similar to Albania and Czechia. And they're in the second half. I'm expecting to get the job done again this year. And I think Musty is similar to Ali Alexander. I think he's a big fan of the contest. I think this is like a dream come true for him. I think he's going to be giving it his absolute all. So I think Belgium are definitely strong contenders to qualify. Okay, another country in the second half is Israel, who've qualified 6 of the last 7 years. Obviously, there's a lot of controversy with them right now. All I'll say about the televote system is you can only vote for people you can't vote against. So you could theoretically vote against a country, you could vote for everybody else once, but obviously that's a pretty inefficient system. So who knows? That's a controversial one. No idea what the song is, what the type of the song is going to be. Another country looking for an opportunity to improve their record is San Marino. So if you saw my last top 44 countries of the last 10-year video, you will know that poor San Marino were in last place, but they've still managed to qualify twice in the last 4 years. So really resourceful, managing to find a way. Their extremely messy national final is currently happening. I will cover that national final, but only when it gets smaller. Right now, there's like 130 people in the semi-finals. PZE already pushed me to my limit with 28 songs. Great opportunity for San Marino. They're in the second half. They can definitely get themselves a qualification. They've got Italy in the semi-final as well. So Spain, France, and Italy are voting in here. I'll talk about them a little bit later. So really great opportunity for San Marino. I feel like they would have really benefited from having Italy the year that Stripper went. Those 24 points really would have been quite delicious for them. But San Marino are the ultimate underdog. We're all rooting for them. They've got 33,000 people. We all want to have Eurovision in Valentina Monetta's back garden. Perfect. Come on, San Marino. Okay, I think I'm just going to make it in terms of space. And the last country, which might be the country closing the show if they choose 5 minutes and pull up, is Estonia. Have qualified 4 of the last 5 years. They've actually been on a really good momentum lately. It's looking like the final will probably be between 5 minutes or possibly Ali, which is a kind of quite a heavy rock song, or potentially Daniel Levi, which is a male ballad. I think those are probably 3 of the favorites right now. I expect them to be qualifying. I really do think that Estonia are going to qualify this year. Yeah, there's lots more spaces up for grabs. And you know, some of these countries who have been strong in the past, there's no guarantee they're going to be strong again. But when you have this pattern of consistently qualifying, it's showing that your national final is choosing good artists, choosing good songs. Your delegation are translating that story onto the stage. They're making good staging, lighting decisions. The color palette's cool. So qualification streaks are a good indicator of what countries get it. If they've got good artists, do they have good support from the broadcaster? It just kind of gives you an indication of what systems are working well. I think this first half of the first semi-final is the most difficult quarter of all 4 quarters. And I think definitely there's a chance here that we will see more songs qualifying from the first half of a semi-final for the first time since 2018. Let's talk about the 3 countries who are automatic qualifiers. The magnets are, I don't want to get them because I don't want to take my mic off. So the first one is Italy. Obviously that's going to favor San Marino. Then we have Spain, unfortunately in a different semi-final from Portugal. Spain actually are pretty good at giving points to Ireland, so a little bit sad that Ireland's in a different semi-final from Spain. And then we also have France, who I know are pretty good at giving points to Armenia because there's an Armenian diaspora there. Who else have France giving points to? Belgium, that's going to help them as well. Possibly a little bit to Netherlands. I don't know, will they get the sense of humor? And then even within the countries in the semi-finals, Switzerland and Austria obviously are pretty pally. The rest of the world vote is going to favor Albania. And we actually saw that Armenia got a good rest of the world vote last year in the semi-finals. So did Latvia actually. They came 3rd in the semi-final tally vote, I believe. So that is the draw of the semi-finals. Obviously, as we get more information throughout the year, we get artists, we get songs, we get music videos, so we get idea of the staging. We'll have a clearer picture. So once the final running order is released, kind of towards the end of March, obviously I'm going to do a video where I predict who's going to qualify from each semi-final because I'll have all the information then. This is what we will be seeing on May 7th, May 9th, and then May 11th for the final. So who did you think got a good draw? Who do you think is happy? Who do you think is a little bit sad? Who has luck in who they've been drawn with and which automatic qualifiers they've been drawn with? Well, this thing is annoying me. Let me know in the comment section down below. No new donations on Buy Me Coffee or PayPal, but if you want to support the channel, I'll leave links to you in the description down below. And of course, thank you to my patrons all over the world for patronizing the channel. On my Patreon, you can find the original audio when I do reaction videos and they get copyrighted. You can also be part of our My Eurovision Scoreboard group. There's a couple of bonus videos, some early releases of videos, and some behind the scenes previews, so go check that out. But of course, thank you so much just for watching and maybe leaving a like or maybe sharing the video. And I hope to see you on another Eurovision analysis video very soon. Goodbye. Blah, 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 blah. That was weird.